Hi everyone, this is Stephen Hewer with Synergistic Nutrition. Today I wanted to talk to you about physical, mental, and reproductive disease are connected to ... something that most people ignore and are completely unaware of. In fact, the reason why there's such a high degree of infertility and why people are trying to use artificial means to conceive a child has to do with this in large part. And all of these conditions are connected to a deficiency of these specific nutritional elements that I'm going to share with you today. So with regards to mental health, if you think about it, some people experience a pretty traumatic upbringing, but in adulthood, they turn out to be balanced emotionally, mentally, happy people. Other people can go through traumatic upbringing and suffer such trauma that their subconscious mind is filled with all kinds of negative belief systems about themselves, about life. So they tend to be defensive, fearful, vindictive, reactive, basically unhappy, unbalanced people. Now, the way that you would actually address this would be having the correct psychology. So with correct mental tools, one can actually go into the subconscious, identify those fearful, negative thoughts, replace them with positive thoughts, and thus create a happy subconscious that's sending signals to you 24 hours a day that are life-affirming, self-love, confident you can achieve your goals. So our belief systems would be the foundation of our ability to recover from stress or trauma. However, there's another aspect to the ability to be naturally cheerful, and that would have to do with your nutrients. So the body requires about 89 different nutrients, and the other is their nutritional status and their genetic status. So sometimes people are born with lack of nutrients in mom's bloodstream, and so their body doesn't develop optimally, so they end up with genetic limitations or deficiencies, such as my body, which causes us to be what's called an undermethylator. And about 50% of the population of the country is estimated to be an undermethylator, which is a person's body that doesn't use the compound CH3, a chemical group called a methyl donor. You don't cause the coupling and uncoupling of that chemical with chemical reactions fast enough to convert B vitamins into the active state in high enough amounts, which then supports your ability to make neurotransmitters that keep you happy, focused, and positive, and able to see your solutions. So genetics and nutrient status are going to play a role in whether or not you tend towards depression or whether or not you tend towards optimism and the I can do spirit. And I've been through this because as a kid, I remember when I was in my teens, my mind was very photographic. I could look at a picture and I could remember it for 2 weeks, like a driver's license number. I can remember it clearly and 2 weeks later. So that I lost that as time went on because of the high amount of mercury exposure coming off of my dental fillings. So having had that and lost it, I've had a keen desire to know how to optimize my brain function for all my life. And as a naturopath and as a nutritionist, I've discovered many things that contribute to that. And the one that's the most foundational is your trace mineral needs. So there's a group of minerals called macro minerals that are your calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, zinc. These are the minerals required in larger amounts by the body, called macro minerals. And then there's your trace elements. You've got 68 different elements that the body needs in the form of minerals. Where are you going to find that? Okay, so we know now that ever since chemical agriculture, they've not been putting minerals into the soil. And even before chemical agriculture, you had the exhaustion of the soil. So a farmer would basically farm his soil for so many years before it would run out of the nutrients and the minerals that it needs. And they could keep track of this by the mother who, eating this food and conceiving and gestating and birthing babies, would start to lose a tooth for every child she had due to the mineral deficiencies in the food supply. And they would literally have to pick up stakes, move to another part of the country where the soil had not been farmed and it was still fertile. So the depletion to the soil was a fairly common phenomenon. It took so many years for it to happen. There is one part of the country in the United States of America called Deaf Smith County, Texas, that's pretty fascinating. It has this calcium layer of minerals that basically has kept it fertile for decades, so that that particular county has produced some of the healthiest people on the planet. One particular statistic about Deaf Smith County, Texas was that in World War II, the average number of men that could pass the physical going into the draft, into the war, into the military, was 68% for the country. But in Smith County, Texas, it was 98%. So this particular soil in that area was so full of minerals, in particular calcium, that it ensured that their food was much higher in all the minerals and all the nutrients needed to support optimum human health. That means that your genetics are going to be better. So what you have is that when a mother and father are going to conceive a child, you've got the sperm and the ovum, and they have to actually have all of the nutrients present at the time that those sperm and ovum are formed in order for them to be, you could say, manifesting the full genetic expression. I think it's the 23 chromosomes, and not transferring any genetic weaknesses to the offspring. However, if those nutrients aren't there at the time that that sperm or that ovum are forming, you're going to have an incomplete development of the genetic sequence in the sperm or the ovum. So you, mother and father, if you've got genetic weaknesses, you'll pass those on to your child. However, if you're taking nutrients, preconception nutrients for both the mother and the father, like 3 months minimum, I'd recommend 6 months preferably, before you conceive, then, and this not only includes the minerals, there's 60 different minerals that the body needs. It needs 16 vitamins and 12 amino acids and 2 to 3 different fatty acids. About 89 to 90 nutrients the body needs on a daily basis in order for all of this genetic expression to express itself in an optimal manner. In order for a man or a woman to conceive a healthy child at conception due to having healthy sperm and healthy ovum, and then gestating that, the mother taking those nutrients during gestation and during lactation so that that baby develops ideally. Now, if this is done, you are now guaranteeing a superior healthy child, a child that will be superior to you physically and mentally, because nature operates that each generation is supposed to upgrade to a superior expression of that particular species, whether it's plant, animal, human, it doesn't matter, but all the nutrients have to be present. I think there's a philosophy out there that the more stress that you can impose upon an organism, the more it's going to genetically mutate and become stronger to be able to adapt to that environment. That's actually not true. If you look at nature, if you look at plants, if you create that greenhouse Garden of Eden environment with all the nutrients, right climate, you're going to get a superior, genetically stronger, healthier plant than if it didn't have those nutrients, it was subjected to harsher weather conditions. Same for the human. A human doesn't become stronger because it's nutritionally deprived or more stressed, especially in its development. The more you can cocoon, the more you can nurture, the more you can create that ideal environment to be raising a child in, both psychologically, nutritionally, physically, the more you're going to have an adult that's just like a tank body, a super mind. I mean, to the point that, maximum creativity. It's a very interesting fact that perhaps one of the most brilliant men in our time, Elon Musk, quite an inventor, quite a genius, his mother was a nutritionist. So that little fact seems to be left off the tabloids and off the media, but that's why that guy has such a smart mind, because his mom was taking all the nutrients prior to conception, during gestation, and therefore he had superior physical and mental development. And the same can be true for anybody. It doesn't have to be an accident so that the occasional person out there has got these fantastic photographic mind and genius abilities. It should be common every single day. But nutrients are the foundation to that, and they have to be in the diet of the parents prior to conception. And this has been known in animal husbandry for decades. In other words, the veterinarian profession knows that the farmer has to supplement the diet of the cow or the diet of the goat or the diet of the chickens or the turkeys or whatever's being raised for the purpose of animal food consumption for humans. That farmer has to give them specific vitamins and minerals in their diet to ensure that they're conceiving, gestating, and birthing healthy animals or birds, chickens. So it's no mystery to them. In fact, if they didn't do that, then the animal would be born sick or weak, and it would require veterinarian treatments, and veterinarian bills would be so high it would be unprofitable to be a farmer. So it's the same for humans, and yet it's just completely not been taught in modern society that people need to take care of their diet and their supplementation. So this soil fertility thing that I was talking about a little while ago, I'll get back to, is that so you've always had the exhaustion of the soil happening in different farming practices throughout history. But in order for the fertility to be created, you have to add back the elements. You have to add back the trace minerals. Whether that's kelp that you let decompose on your compost pile and put it back into the soil, or whether it's trace mineral supplements like the one that we're going to introduce you to today. you have to have them in your diet on a daily basis. And by and large, they're not in the soil. Now, that's for sure for the commercial soils, but even for the organic, the trace minerals are typically not there. It's the exception. And then if that farmer is doing the trace mineral addition to the soil and has really got his fertility right, then the food quality is going to go up. You could literally grow grapes or grow vegetables this way, and the mineral sugars, I've spoken about this many times, the BRICS level, it's basically a representation of the mineral sugar content of that fruit or vegetable, becomes much higher in its concentration, and now that fruit or vegetable will not mold. It will literally sit there and dehydrate. It cannot grow mold. And we've got so many mold problems in people's bodies, and you wonder why. If you're eating chemically imbalanced food all the time, unripe food all the time. So the statement that was made by Hippocrates way back when, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food, is not applicable today at all. You cannot thrive on food alone. If you want to thrive, you have to have supplementation, because you're not getting the trace elements in your food or the chemical complexes that are made by having those trace minerals in the food. Hence the necessity for supplementation. And quality of life goes up dramatically when that happens. Not only that, but rather than getting cardiovascular disease in your 60s or metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, obesity, arthritis, disc degeneration, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, whatever, none of that will happen if you do these kinds of things. Because you have to not only nurture your body to take care of repair states, but to keep it energized enough to produce all the antioxidants and be able to detoxify you from this extremely toxic environment we live in today. So as far back as 1936, it's been known that the North American U.S. soils were 85% depleted at that time. It's thought that they're now 95% depleted of the trace elements they need. And the Senate of the United States of America put out a document stating this, warning everyone in America. Here it is 82 years later, and no one's done a thing about it on a commercial level. So you got to look out for yourself here if you want to be healthy, thrive, and never incur degenerative disease. Another thing is that so many people eat junk food. I don't care whether it's McDonald's or whether it's Pringles potato chips or whether it's Smokehouse almonds or anything that's heavily seasoned or heavily sweet. The heavily seasoned is going to have MSG in it, which is stimulation. The sweet is going to be stimulation. The alcohol is going to be sedation. The smoking of marijuana even is sedation. Cigarettes, whatever the stimulation or sedation is that you're doing, it's unhealthy for the body to begin with. And there's a vast variety of food that people consume that are addicted to these things because of the sugar content, the salt content, or the MSG, the natural flavoring that's in so many things. And not all natural flavor in foods is MSG, but just in some. You're craving these things because you're deficient in minerals. You can have a belly full of food and be starving, and that's what's going on in this country. People are starving of the elements they need because they're not in the diet, so you keep on eating. If you take trace elements that are bioavailable to your body, pretty much you will lose your craving for excess sugar. You can lose your craving for coffee. People have told me when they take these particular elements I'm going to introduce you to that they've lost their craving for coffee or for marijuana. I'm not saying marijuana is bad. I'm just saying, if you're needing it to sort of like escape all the time, then, your chemistry may be off. And if you get the chemistry right, then it's far easier for you to be the master of your mind and emotions and be feeling at peace. So around 2003, I was introduced to this particular trace mineral supplement. This particular trace mineral supplement is a combination of an inland seabed deposit, so it's got the ocean minerals, which is the full spectrum, plus it's got a volcanic deposit as well. The combination makes for the full spectrum of elements that the body needs. So the body needs 60 different elements, and you're getting 68 of them in this particular product. This particular product we've carried before. We lost our supplier, and we've had a hard time finding a supplier, or we just didn't know of other suppliers. So basically for about 1.5 years, the product Mineral Magic has not been on our shelves. But it is back in stock. So many of you have been waiting for it, and hallelujah, it's here again. I'm grateful to have it back available to you because I've had so many positive testimonies come from clients over the years when it was in stock. So we do carry 2 different trace mineral supplements, Mineral Magic and a product called Liquimin. Mineral Magic is these 68 trace elements, and it's also paramagnetic. It's used for soil. Paramagnetism means that when that mineral comes in contact with a magnetic field, it enhances and increases the magnetic field of that living organism, which is really powerful. I mean, that's why magnets are used nowadays so much, because if you can temporarily increase magnetism of your cells, you're getting healthier. But in this case, this paramagnetism from the mineral is actually enhancing the magnetic field of your body, so you have more magnetism to your cells, which makes them more energized and alive. Plus, there's some naturally occurring monoatomic elements in the product. Monoatomic elements are very powerful. David Hudson's done all the groundbreaking research and education on that subject way back in the 90s. Certain monoatomic elements can come in contact with DNA and cause a damaged DNA to relax and recombine corrected. And then you've got the rate at which you can speed up the flow of electrons over the DNA. So basically, the electrons transfer over the DNA. It's a certain speed at which cells communicate, a certain rate at which energy flows in the body. With, I think it was ruthenium, the particular trace element, they could increase the speed with which the electron flowed over the DNA by 10,000 times. So perhaps this is why this particular mineral supplement produces so much more results for myself and from client feedback than the other product we carry called Liquamin. Now, Liquamin is from humic shale, which is a decomposed forest of plants. So it was previously a chelated element. So it's more bioavailable to the body, and it's also a smaller mineral, so it's more easily absorbed, easily excreted. So it also is an excellent trace mineral supplement, this product called Liquamin. I think it's got 70 elements in it. And it's also helped, T.J. Clark, the founder of that particular mine in Utah, and the discoverer of that product. Well, he wasn't the discoverer, the Paiute Indians were, but they taught it to him. He recovered his health on it, so it's become a phenomenon. Dr. Joe Wallach promotes, colloidal minerals products that he sells. They're great. They're wonderful. But between the two, I've had more results personally on Mineral Magic. I've had more client feedback on Mineral Magic. So I reserve the Liquamin for people who have kidney weakness, chronic kidney disease, because my brother, he has some kidney weakness in the past, and he had problems taking Mineral Magic because they are particulate minerals that require filtration through your kidneys. And anybody that's got normal kidney function, myself, most everybody else, you're fine. I mean, there's no problem. They don't accumulate. They pass right through. You're fine. But for people with chronic kidney disease, they're better off with Liquamin because they're smaller minerals. They're more easily passed through the body. But I believe that the Liquamin may not have the monoatomics in it, or probably doesn't have the paramagnetism. So I think this is perhaps the reason why I don't feel it as much, and I have not had as much feedback on it, or any feedback. So one of the common themes out there of people that have nutritional knowledge is that you want only chelated minerals in your diet, or chelated mineral supplements, because these are more easily absorbed. So the theory is that, the facts are, is that inorganic minerals only supposedly absorbed by a factor of 5 to 12%. So just basic metallic minerals, that's what they say the limitations are of absorption. Chelated minerals are like 40% absorbed. And then there's even more highly chelated minerals like specific transporters, like the orotates or the AEP products that Dr. Hans Nieper came up with that should be absorbed much better than even 40%. And so you've got this idea that you don't want to take rock minerals like Mineral Magic because you're not going to absorb them very much. So if that was true, then why is it the Hunza people over there near Pakistan that live at, I think it's fairly high elevation, but they actually drink a glacial milk. So their glaciers grind, the rocks of the mountains down, and the grinding of the rocks turns it into silt, and as the glaciers melt, they pick up the silt and carry it into the streams carry it into the river, and their rivers are an opaque white or gray-white mineral water that you can't even see through. And the Hunzas drink this as their water every day. Plus they irrigate their fields, so they're getting these great foods from their apricot trees and all their grains and legumes and all their animals. They're all getting these minerals, so their food is great. Plus they're drinking the inorganic minerals every day. So they're drinking the equivalent of 300 grams of calcium, rock calcium, in their drinking water every day, plus all those trace minerals that are in there in super high amounts. We're talking about 1/3 a cup of rock minerals every day. No kidney stones, no cardiovascular disease, calcification of the joints, no calcium buildup in the arteries. These people are living to be 120 to 140 years of age, free of all disease. They got men over 100 playing rugby, plus siring kids after age 100 too. The genetic potential of the human body is to live to be 150 or so years, 149 years of age. That's the genetic potential. But it ain't going to express itself unless the minerals are in the diet every day. One of the profound benefits I've had of taking Mineral Magic is that your reproductive powers increase markedly if they've gone down. And I've been through, the meat grinder of life, so mine have gone down. So that product is profound for that. I have one case history I want to share with you. So many years ago, I was working with a couple that were using artificial fertilization techniques that would cost them up to $12,000 at that point in time when they saw me, and they were still unable to get pregnant. So it was apparently the man's sperm that were compromised. So I introduced him to the Mineral Magic and a certain form of zinc, which nowadays I recommend zinc arginate is the best form. And his sperm count went up from 20,000 to 50,000, and they were all healthy swimmers. And it fertilized all 4 eggs, and so they were great. They went on to have, their family. Okay, so some of the macro minerals, there's a lot of research that's been done on them. So we know that, what calcium does in the body. It's important for cell division. It's important for bone mineral density. We know zinc is required for the cell division of every single cell of the body. It's also involved in the structure and health of the DNA and RNA. We need manganese for reproductive health. We need copper for connective tissue health. We need the iodine for the thyroid. Iodine in high amounts is found in higher amounts in the body than in the thyroid. And for women, they need large amounts of it to protect them from cancer in their breasts and in their uterus. But the trace elements actually are still being defined, what they do in the body. Some of them are defined. And so some of the trace elements have been studied on animals and found to double their lifespan. So that would be, let's see here, yttrium enhances normal cell growth, doubles the lifespan of laboratory animals. Samarium enhances normal cell proliferation and doubles the lifespan of lab animals. Thallium supplementation enhances the growth of normal cells and has doubled the lifespan of animals. So here you are, people tend to look only on information generated from United States studies, which tend to be North American based, which is very limited. So, if we look outside the country and see people like the Hunzas still living to be 120 to 140, and we learn that these minerals are doubling the lifespan of animals, you've got to connect the dots, So we've had a lot of good testimonies over the years. One of them was a boy, 17-year-old boy that told me that he only got 3 hours of sleep one night. And the next day he took a teaspoon of Mineral Magic and had energy all day. He went to work at 7 a.m. and did great. Another friend told me that he was becoming a couch potato. And after work, he no longer wanted to go to the gym or do anything other than watch TV. After taking a heaping teaspoon of Mineral Magic, he woke up feeling energized and ready to take on the world. And at night, he wanted to go to the gym again. He says, Mineral Magic is awesome. Of the numerous people that have reported back to us on the results of Mineral Magic, many people have reported their gray hair reversing. So another reason that I forgot to mention as to why our body can absorb these minerals is because of our bacteria in our digestive tract. So when you take animal manure, cow manure, and you put it into your garden, then you till it into the ground, the bacteria from the digestive tract of the cow in the manure, in the ground, eat the minerals and feed them to the plants. So the bacteria in the gut of the animal make the minerals bioavailable to the plant, plus they do the same thing for its body, plus they do the same thing for the human body. So that's why I challenge this idea that you only absorb 5 to 12% of metallic minerals, because they don't factor in the beneficial bacteria of the human gut metabolizing these minerals and making them 100% bioavailable to the body. So I've said this before, that calcium is the main macro mineral need of the body. 80% of the mineral needs of the body or of a plant is calcium, and 20% is the other elements. So they're equally important, even though one's required in larger amounts than the others, but they're all equally important, because without one of them, everything doesn't work. So we used to carry Coral Calcium. We actually still do. It's a great product. It not only has a balance of calcium, magnesium, and other minerals, but it's highly alkalizing, and it contains the naturally occurring protein called aspergillus that's responsible for bone formation, based on Gunther Enderlein's work and that whole subject. So here's a testimony of Jacob. He says, my wife, age 30, and I have been taking Coral Calcium and Mineral Magic for a little over 3 months now. I suffer from a receding hairline and graying hair. Within 2 months after using these two products, we both experienced rapid hair growth and thousands of new hairs have grown in. Both of our hairlines moved down our foreheads at least 1/2 centimeter, and my gray hairs have almost completely gone away now. I also noticed a dramatic increase in erection frequency and quality. It looks like dirt, it tastes like dirt, but it does a lot more for you than your average dirt. Thank you, Stephen, and Synergistic Nutrition. Dr. Patrick H., a chiropractor, about 1 week ago I started taking Mineral Magic. I'm sleeping fewer hours and awakening more refreshed. Jay Cooper, hey Stephen, I just want to say I think the Mineral Magic and cod liver oil did some great work on our new baby. My wife took both every day during the last trimester of her pregnancy. Some people in our family were amazed at how great our baby girl's skin looked right after she was born, as well as how responsive she is now with eye contact at only 2 weeks old. So Mineral Magic is a 1 pound container, and I consider it the most effective and affordable mineral supplement on the market at 1/2 teaspoon a day for 6 months at $35. Or I like to take a teaspoon a day, so that comes out to be 3 months supply for $35. It's a fantastic product. Are you looking for free shipping? A lot of people love to get free shipping. So what I'd like to offer you today as a way to get the free shipping is that if you combine Mineral Magic with any one of a variety of the Agora CBD products, you get free shipping. Because not enough people know about the Agora CBD products. The Agora CBD products have 40 terpenes in them, plus the full spectrum of the cannabidiol compounds. The cannabidiol compounds are called CBDs, have gotten all the spotlight attention, and that's all people focus on. But they don't work really that well compared to when you combine them with terpenes. I've taken plenty of different CBD products and noticed very little to nothing. But when I took the Agora CBD product, it was the first time that I actually slept in some time. It wasn't the full night, but then I took it another time and I actually slept 8 hours, which was the first time that had happened since I was probably, let's say 38, 39. I mean, a long time ago. So, you know, if you've got any kind of pain, if you've got headaches, if you've got any kind of imbalance or depression, CBDs and terpenes are able to activate your tissues, your CB1 and CB2 receptors. You have in your body what's called your endocannabinoid system. Your own cannabinoids, anandamide and 2-AG, are produced in your body when you're youthful and healthy, but when you're older or compromised, you don't produce them as much, so your endocannabinoid system isn't activated, so the harmony in the body and the balance that would occur from that isn't going to be there. So you can get it from an outside source, from a plant source, the hemp plant. So if you want that benefit of the CBD products, you combine that with a bottle of Mineral Magic, you get it shipped to you for free. So as I was saying, calcium works with the trace minerals, and therefore don't neglect your calcium needs. Don't neglect your pH needs. Your body pH should be 7.3 to 7.5 in the saliva to be ideal, and that reflects that your body's not stealing alkaline minerals out of the bones or tissues to keep your blood pH neutral. So, and baking soda isn't cutting it, folks. You might, take baking soda for certain beneficial effects. It's great for helping the kidneys make up for the work that they're not doing in things when you got weak kidneys. But the way to alkalize the body is to take lime water and Cal-2. And the way to get a calcium that will go into the cells and into the bone to remineralize them is intracal, which is calcium orotate and magnesium orotate with a little bit of MSM. So if you're not taking care of your pH or your calcium needs, consider getting a roll of pH paper, testing your saliva pH for 3 days in a row in the morning. When you wake up, should be 7.2 to 7.5. If it's 6.9 or lower, you're acidic. You need to take supplementation to alkalize because you're not going to get it typically enough from food. Vegetable juices can alkalize you to a degree, so you might want to incorporate those into your diet. But the best results I've seen is with the lime water, the Cal-2, and then the intracal for intracellular and intracellular calcium and magnesium needs. Thanks for your time and attention. We do love taking your calls and answering your questions. I'm not always available, but my staff can answer your questions about products typically and pricing and things like that. Take your order. And if I am available, ask for me. I'm willing to answer, give you some of my time for free, answer a few of your questions. Perhaps that will lead to you thriving again. All right. Blessings, health, love, and light. Until we speak. Blessings.